This is my first YouTube video and I'm honestly kind of nervous. I've only ever posted short form content on Instagram, on TikTok, and every now and then here on YouTube. And I've never done anything like this, but luckily I'll be talking about the Bad Batch, which is a topic that I feel incredibly strongly about. So I'm hoping it'll calm my nerves down a little bit talking about something that I absolutely love. If you don't already know who I am, my name is Marley. I mostly make nerdy content and a lot of it is focused on Star Wars, but I don't just talk about Star Wars, and you'll see that if you follow my Instagram. But going back to the topic of this video, I'll be talking a lot about the Bad Batch. I'll be talking about just what it means to me, considering that it is my favorite show. I will touch on that in just a sec. I'll be talking about some of my predictions and honestly some hopes that would happen and what I think would happen after the finale season. So let's get into it. If you don't already know this, my favorite show is The Bad Batch. I have a huge connection to the show. I absolutely love it so much. And a lot of it, to be honest, happens to be because of season 1. At the time when season 1 was coming out, and actually a little bit before that, I was going through a lot of mental health issues and I was doing nowhere near well okay. And honestly, I was thinking a lot of negative thoughts. I did not actually know that The Bad Batch was actually a project that was coming out. It wasn't until Star Wars posted something on Instagram and I believe it was the clone posters, and I was like, wait a second, I recognize some of these guys. They're from Clone Wars Season 7. I like these dudes. And of course they posted the Omega poster and a lot of people thought that was Palpatine's clone, but that's another topic for another day. This being a story that was focused on clones after Order 66 and it being a perfect transition from the Republic to the Empire, it just became so interesting. As the weeks went on, I absolutely loved it so much. And I think one of the biggest reasons why it's my favorite show is at the time, like I mentioned, I was not doing well at all mentally. I found a lot of comfort in the show because it was able to distract me from all the negativity in my life or all the negativity going on in my head. So yeah, I just ended up using it as a way to distract myself, and then I ended up loving the story. I mean, the characters are just so amazing, so it was really hard not to like the show. When I went to Star Wars Celebration in Anaheim in 2022, I could only ever think about the Bad Batch panel. I went there with friends and I told them, it's like, yeah, it'd be great to get into the Mandalorian panel. It'd be great to get into the Attack of the Clones panel. But I told them at the end of the day, or I guess you could say at the end of the trip, all that mattered is that I got into the Bad Batch panel, and I did end up going, and I was able to see the voice actors rehearse an entire scene there live, and it was amazing.
What is that?
Sounds like the engine's coming online, but that's not possible, right?
Well, technically, it is. I restored the ship's main power core when I accessed the central system, which means the engines can be activated.
They showed us the first scene of the first episode of season 2. I ended up crying. They showed it again and I was sobbing. They gave us a Bad Batch poster, which I still have and hold so closely to my heart. Wait, hold on. This baby right here. And I really hope that I end up getting it signed someday because I love it so much. It's such a beautiful poster too. So this was probably one of the highlights of my Star Wars celebration. Now is a perfect time to mention that if you have not seen seasons 1 or 2 or have seen the Bad Batch season 3 trailer, it would probably be best to go check that out because I don't want to spoil anything for you guys unless you want to get it spoiled. On to the predictions. Okay, so I don't have many predictions because usually I kind of just like going into shows, not thinking about it, just hoping that it'll be good, but not going in with any expectations. But when it comes to this, I do have a few predictions, not many, but some. And I do have a few things that I do hope would happen. If you follow me on Instagram, you know really well that I'm a huge fan of a certain character in the show and that a certain scene...
When have we ever followed orders?
...really hurt me. I will be discussing that a little bit later, but let's talk about some other stuff right now. Now, if you remember the character Emery Carr, she was introduced to us in season 2 as Omega's sister in the finale. Honestly, I think it's kind of funny that a lot of people didn't really care that she was Omega's sister. I think Star Wars expected it to be a bigger bombshell than it really was. But a lot of people were focused on another thing. So yeah, it was really funny how that news was supposed to be something huge and just was completely sidetracked by something else. But anyways, a lot of people right now are thinking that she's gonna help Omega escape. There was an interview with Jennifer Corbett where she mentioned that Emery Carr was actually just pretty much raised to be a tool for the Empire and under Hemlock. So I don't see her just throwing away her Empire past. for a sibling, a clone sibling, especially if it just doesn't seem like she cares all that much about clones in general. So I don't see that happening at all. I do think if you have seen the scene, okay. If you have seen the scene that Rotten Tomatoes posted a few days ago, it's actually a scene between Crosshair and Omega. They're having a conversation. She's thinking that Emery could help them escape. He's telling her that, hey, you're too trusting. And she's like, well, maybe you don't trust enough. And honestly, I was kind of like, damn, she's got a point. I will say with the escape, I think a lot of us are on the same page. I think they will both be escaping. But I will say, I don't think that Omega actually escapes with Crosshair at first. I say that because honestly, I think it would be very cool for them to kind of fail the first time and then go back and get her. We do see a scene of a ship crashing in the season 3 trailer. It seems like 2 people are walking away from the ship crash. One looks like Crosshair and the other one looks like Omega. So my assumption is that, at least for one of the tries, Crosshair is actually the one that goes in to try to help Omega escape. He probably knows the area a little bit better and probably has a better chance of just escaping in general than the rest of the batch. And we also see a scene where Omega is attempting to kind of crash land a ship. I assume that's the ship that we see where 2 people are walking away from. Yeah, I don't think that they both initially escape together. Now, for something that I do really hope they show is just a scene, any scene where they're just showing the importance and the strength of the whole Palpatine cloning experiment and how dangerous it could be. To be honest, I feel like that's something that's very important, especially when we see that in the sequels and they start talking about it a lot, especially in season 2. So it'd just be really cool to have some kind of scene. There were some characters that have come back, as we saw in the trailer. We saw Rex, that's to no surprise. What did surprise me is that apparently Cad Bane and Fennec Shand are back. I don't necessarily see why Cad would be back. I can see Fennec maybe coming back because she has a connection to Nala Se. I am hoping that she's gonna help them escape. We'll see about that. But with Cad Bane, I have no clue. For the thing that a lot of people were very, very surprised about, and I was incredibly surprised because this person was supposed to be dead. Ventress is apparently back. Or I should say back. I don't think that she's back. I think that she's some kind of Night Sister magic. We saw that in Ahsoka, and I have a feeling that's what's happening here. So one of the producers, Brad Rao, mentioned that her storyline was actually going to be fairly aligned with the book Dark Disciple. And if you don't know, Ventress actually dies in that book. So I'm not sure if that book's going to be retconned or not, but I predict that she's dead, but she's not dead. I don't know how well they're going to explain all that, but I'm sure it's definitely possible. We know how strong Night Sister magic is, so I have no doubts that that's an actual possibility. It's time. So, if you follow me on Instagram, like I mentioned before, you probably know that I'm a strong believer in the fact that Tech is not dead. So, there's a lot of reasons why I think he's not dead overall. I think the biggest thing that a lot of people don't realize is that Plan 99 could be, yes, a sacrifice for the team, but it doesn't mean a sacrifice in form of death. I think it's more of a sacrifice for the success of the mission. I don't think it was ever something where it's like, yeah, I have to die for you guys to survive. It was more like, I'm gonna give myself up so you guys can go. So I don't think he's actually dead. I think if Hunter was able to survive his fall off a mountain in season 1, then Tech can definitely make that fall as well. Especially because I personally believe that Tech is the smartest out of the group. I think a lot of people believe that as well. But there's no way when he was falling down, he was just thinking, all right, I'm done. I'm dead now. No, he probably had some backup plan or figured out a way within like milliseconds to try to have a better odd of surviving that. And I think a lot of people think that he's dead because, you know, we saw goggles, but I think it was mostly a manipulation tactic, to be honest. I know it's not the same fandom, but I'm a fan, of course, of Marvel as well, and of course of Star Wars, and they're both owned by the same company at the moment, Disney. And if we've learned anything from being a fan of those two fandoms is that death really doesn't mean anything. And if there's no body, there's no proof that anyone's dead. And even when there is a body, apparently people can still survive. Yeah, I don't think that he's dead. Honestly, I think he might be the soldier that we see in one of the scenes in the trailer. And he's wearing the same armor that one of the soldiers wore in season 2. that was kind of just like an assassin. And I think that Tech might have just like switched spots with what Crosshair could have been. So Tech lives. Tech lives. I really just don't want more members of the Bad Batch to die, but I have a feeling they're going to. To be honest, I think like either Crosshair or Hunter is gonna die. I can't see Hunter surviving this season. Parental figures, they tend to pass away somehow. And there are no happy endings, but I really hope there will be, but you know, that's Star Wars. But I just hope that they don't do a whole Rogue One and off the entire Bad Batch. I don't think that would be very smart. I don't think they would kill off a child like Omega. And if they did, it would be really, really dumb. Because another thing that I've been hoping for a very, very long time, since he was name dropped in season 1.
To my knowledge, there's only one other. A male clone, codenamed Alpha, later referred to as Boba.
I've been wanting Boba Fett to show up for such a long time. Like, I genuinely do not care how he shows up, but as long as he has some kind of introduction to Omega, some kind of interaction with her, so that way people know, hey, Boba's met his clone sister for the future of Omega's character. I think for after season 3, it kind of sucks that they're ending it there. There's a show about clones that has so much potential. I can understand why they're ending it there, but I just, you know, I feel like they could have at least gone one more season. But when it comes to Omega's character, I've really, really been hoping they would do something similar like what they did with Ahsoka. And they kind of did that. You know, she starts off a little bit annoying. They show like she's impatient. She's not able to control herself very well. She's very dependent. And then we see her evolve and mature a little bit more. And we see that with Ahsoka as well. And I think that's something they should definitely consider doing with Omega, is to continue her storyline. And they can do this if they introduce Boba to her. Let me get into that. I'm gonna ramble a lot right now, but I'm hoping at the end of this it will make a little bit of sense. When I think of things, my mind goes back and forth. So I really, really hope that I say this right. If you didn't already know, the voice actress that plays Emery Carr is Keisha Castle Hughes. She was already previously in a Star Wars project. She played the Queen of Naboo after Padme, a bunch of other media as well. So she's actually a very good on-screen actress. She's been in Game of Thrones, and one of her earliest projects was Whale Rider. And I'm pointing that out because in that, she is incredibly young. She's probably the age of Omega. And to be honest, when I picture a live action Omega, that's exactly how I picture her to be, with the exception of her hair not being blonde in that, obviously. Considering that the actress looks a lot like what adult Omega would look like. Now, as I mentioned, she's already been in a Star Wars project before, but honestly, I don't think that really matters. She plays the voice actress of Omega's older sister. She looks the part. She's an incredible actress already. And I can see this as a perfect way to just have a continuation of Omega's story. So if they just introduce Boba to Omega, or even like a small little scene, it would set up an entire future for them. I wouldn't consider this a prediction because, to be honest, I don't think it would happen, but I think it would be very smart for them to do. I can definitely see her being in a project somewhere in the Mandoverse timeline. Just for a little bit. I would like to see what happens to her, because to be honest, it would suck knowing that the last thing we know about Omega is Bad Batch Season 3. She has so much potential, she's just a kid, and she's a great character that's not Force sensitive. Yeah, it would be really cool. As for what happens after Season 3 outside of the Bad Batch, if you don't already know, Bad Batch Season 3 ends on May 1st. It's only a couple of days before May 4th, which is Star Wars Day. And I honestly do think that they're gonna release something pretty important on May 4th. I'm not sure what. Maybe it's gonna be a full-on Acolyte trailer, maybe, or it's gonna be an entirely new project. I feel like it's not a coincidence that the show is ending a few days before May 4th. That is pretty much all I have for today. I had so much fun filming this, to be honest, and I'm so sorry if I rambled a lot. It's my first YouTube video, and I plan on filming a lot more. I'm really hoping I can film reaction videos as the weeks go on, but I will say I will not be able to film my reaction to the first 3 episodes. And that's because I will be attending the Bad Batch Season 3 premiere, And that means that I can't record myself because I'll be watching it just a few hours before everyone else is. So I'm super, super happy. I will hopefully be vlogging my experience. I'm not sure what I am allowed to record and what I'm not, but I know for a fact they're not going to let us record the actual thing. And I wouldn't even want to do that because I want to enjoy those episodes myself. So I'm hoping my next video will be that, and then I will try to have reaction videos and maybe a couple other videos as well. But yeah, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. This is my first one, so I think it went well. I hope it went well. I hope this is the start of something really, really cool. I did enjoy recording this video. I'll see how the editing process goes. But if you want to see more of my content and where I'm most active, I would definitely recommend checking out my socials, especially Instagram. I'm more active there. You'll get to see some either really dumb behind the scene videos or other stuff as well. If you liked the video, please leave a like and subscribe, and maybe I'll share some Mantel mix with you.